everyone. I am Melissa Forziat. I'm a keynote speaker. My topic is something that I call Take the Doughnut, which for me is another way to say carpe diem. And it comes from this strange thing that happened to me in college where I left an actual donut on a table, but it became almost instantly an object lesson for me and what it looks like to leave opportunity behind. So I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take the donut. From time to time, I'll issue myself a take the donut challenge. I'll say, this is something I want to do, and I'll make it official for myself. And I've been documenting it here lately. But this is the first time I'm ever opening up a Take the Doughnut challenge to anybody who wants to participate. And I'm really excited about it. So what's the challenge? What's the Take the Doughnut challenge for us? Well, this October, I'm going to do EEKtober, which is going to be 31 days of scary movies. I plan to do a review video for each movie along the way. So you can watch the video in your own time, and then you can check out the review video and comment along and let me know what you think about it. And, it's just a challenge for those who want to watch a bunch of scary movies, maybe learn a little bit more about scary movies, maybe get some different takes on some scary movies, and just have fun this October, this EEKtober, if you will. Now, originally the tagline for this was going to be 31 days, 31 scary movies. But when I was whittling the list down, I got to 33 movies and I simply would not give up anymore. I refused. So I'm not going to do it. I'm doing 33 movies. So there's going to be 2 days that are double features. I really thought through what movies would be in those double features and when they would be. So hopefully you'll get a chance to enjoy those as well. Before I jump into the list of what the films are, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my history with horror movies. So I have a very specific idea of what it feels like to be scared. Mostly it's something that I think about from my gymnastics days when I was scared of a trick. It was a very physical thing for me to feel the fear. And so at some point after college, after gymnastics was over, I was looking for some scary movies that would actually scare me. I remembered movies that scared me when I was younger. But after college, I was looking for movies that would scare me. And the more I looked for them, the less I found them, because I have found that the more scary movies you watch, the more you get desensitized to them, or the more I have gotten desensitized to them. Things that would scare me in real life don't necessarily scare me in a scary movie or a TV show because it's TV and movies. So I became very desensitized to films. I stopped being scared by them, but I kept looking for them. And in doing that, I started to find other things to appreciate about horror films. I started to look at them like how I look at other movies. I'm in film clubs, and I have podcasts about TV shows, like a Halt and Catch Fire TV show podcast that I have. And I love to analyze the art of it all. And so for me, horror movies have become a little bit more about that. I appreciate a lot of other things, even if I don't feel scared while I'm watching them. So that's a little bit about my history with horror movies. Every October, I tend to watch as many horror movies as I can that October. I have capped out in the mid 80s in years past. I'm not trying to do that this year. I have other Take the Doughnut challenges going concurrently. I've got keynotes that I'm delivering, but I thought it would be really fun to open up this particular challenge to anyone who wants to join, to do 31 days of scary movies, and just keeping it to a list of 33, which is not a ton for me, but maybe a lot for you. So with all of that said, what movies are we gonna watch? All right, I'm gonna put my list on screen here. I've got 31 days with a movie a day listed out, named, I've given the year for it, and I've given you a sense of sort of the subgenre or how I might classify it to give you a better idea of what you're in for with this film. Now, there are some general notes I wanna make on this before I speak to any of the films in particular. First of all, when we get to a film on a specific day, I plan to drop a review video for that film as early as I can that day. So you have it to look forward to. You can watch the film and you can check out the video recap afterwards. They won't be super in-depth. They'll just be my general thoughts on it, but I welcome your thoughts as well. Some notes on the films that I've chosen. First of all, I wanted to make this something that anybody could participate in some way if they wanted to. So if you are somebody, first of all, who is not into scary movies, but you'd like to in some way participate in this challenge, or maybe you have to make recommendations to other people, or you have to be at some social events with some scary movies watched, I have chosen 5, one for each week. That isn't too scary, I think. One might be classified as a thriller more so than a horror. One might be classified more as an action fantasy more than a horror movie. But they're just ways for you to stay involved. I chose one for each week, including one on Halloween itself, so that you can participate in a modified way. The other films I wouldn't necessarily recommend for you if you're not into scary movies, but those are hopefully very doable for you. So that's one way I broke this down. Now, the other thing that you'll note on my list is that I've classified things with subgenres. If you're looking to learn more about horror films, one thing that you should know is that it's not just one big blanket of a type of movie. There are many different types of scary films, horror films. If you go and look for like a subgenre map or list somewhere, you'll be quite surprised at how many different ones there are. There are movies that blend across many of them. There are movies where people will make up new subgenres for them to explain how they fit into the lexicon of horror movies. And so I've tried to, as much as possible, give a quick description of what they are. There are some films that have so many subgenres you could attach to them that it's sort of impossible to classify them cleanly in a little bit of space. But, I've attempted to give you a little bit of a heads up. I have a preference towards home invasion and survival films. Those tend to scare me more than others, or at least they get closer to that outcome. So I like them better. So my list is, it has a healthy percentage of home invasion and survival related films. But having said that, I have attempted to give you more of a range as well. I've tried to give you all different kinds of subgenres to represent on this list so that you can find some things that you like. If you happen to know there are types of movies that you like better than others, then you can gravitate towards those if you want. If you don't really know, this is a great chance to discover what types of movies you prefer. I often find that if people ask me for recommendations for horror films, I'll ask them questions like, what types of films have you liked in the past, or which types of films were more effective for you in the past? If somebody says they don't like scary movies, I'll say, what's a movie that scared you too much or that you didn't like? And I'll steer them towards another subgenre. So the more you know about what you like, the more you know how to find other films in that category that you can gravitate towards and explore. So hopefully this is a chance to discover that if that's not something that you already know about. So that's another thing. I will say that if you ask anybody to create a list of 31 days of horror movies, if you asked anybody to create a list of 33 movies that are there, horror movies they want you to watch, you will probably not get the same list from any two people. Everybody has preferences. Everybody has types of films that scare them more than others. Everybody has types of films that are more effective for them than others. Even critics, even people who review horror films and know the genre really well, have preferences. What I'm sharing with you is my list of movies that I'd love for everybody to see. Every film on this list, there's a reason why it's on this list. And if you check out any other reviewer, people will have widely varying opinions on pretty much every horror film out there, because we all have different things that scare us and that we gravitate towards, and that's okay. This is a chance to discover what works best for you. And this is a chance to discover what's been working best for me. So that's something that I also have tried to break down in my list. Another thing that I was considering with this list, generally speaking, is I wanted to, as much as possible, represent different decades. Over a third of this list comes from movies from before 2000. Most of those come from in the 70s. I'd say the decade most represented is the 2010s for me, but I tried to have something kind of all across the decades, starting with, I believe, 1958 was my earliest inclusion. So hopefully that will also give you another way to explore things. One other thing that I was trying to balance, or at least get a good representation, was having films that are sort of I don't want to use classic as a term because there might be certain types of films that you think of with that, but ones that are maybe really well known and ones that are more obscure. So even if you have some familiarity with the genre, maybe you might find some films that you hadn't heard about or seen before through this list. But there are also going to be some ones that people talk about all the time. They're referenced a lot, and you'll get a chance to watch them here. So that's some of the general notes. There are going to be some inclusions on this list where somebody might say, you're including this film? Why? Why would you include a film like this or this or this? Sure. Make your own list. Tell me what you would include on it. Please, by all means. For me, there are a couple of weird inclusions here, and there's a specific reason why I wasn't willing to let it go in those cases. So we'll get to that when we get there. So here's the list, and I'll just sort of read these through real quick for you. Again, remember, I'm going to do a review video for each of these films individually. So you can just dive into that film if you're looking for it. But if you want a quick background on each one, on October 1st, I'm starting out with Children of the Corn. I wanted to start with one that felt like something that people have heard about, you might really know. It is a 1984 film. It's got some creepy kids. It's got some supernatural stuff. It's got my absolute favorite line in a horror film ever. It's from a book, original IP by Stephen King. And so he's, certainly an important figure in the horror world. And there have been a lot of films adapted from him as well. So Children of the Corn is our very first one that we'll start off with on October 1st. Going into October 2nd, we're going to get our first in the home invasion subgenre, The Strangers from 2008. I thought about the way that I built the home invasion films too. So consider that when you start with this one. I will also say, and I haven't dug into the research on this just yet, but I think the director who directed this, Brian Bertino, is the one that I've got most represented on my list. I think he's done, I believe, 3 of the ones that I've included here. On October 3rd, we'll start with, one that's safe for pretty much anybody. And this is a fun one called The Blob. I'm taking the 1958 version. It's a sci-fi horror monster movie. If you want, this is an optional double feature opportunity for you. You can also watch the 1988 The Blob if you'd like. Both of them are really fun movies. I would say that the tone, there's some differences in tone and some tech differences, some stylistic differences they could make because of the technology advancements between 58 and 88 that make the two feel different. But I would say they're both pretty fun. October 4th, we've got Jeepers Creepers from 2001. It's a monster, slasher, supernatural. I don't know. It's got there's a whole bunch of different ways you could classify this. There, I believe, are 3 films in this franchise if you wanted to watch more than one of these films. But Jeepers Creepers is the one that I recommend, the original. October 5th, Scream. It's a 1996 slasher film. Of the slasher franchises, I would say, for me, this is my favorite franchise. Partially defined by the fact that I think it's the most consistent for me in terms of quality and the output. Scream is really interesting in how meta it gets. So it's kind of an interesting one to start with, but I was really excited to add a couple of the slasher franchises to this list, and Scream is a good one. If you get really excited about the first film, be sure to check out some of the others. Because there's, to me, really all of them are good. You might want to do it sequentially because it's a franchise that's so meta about horror. They kind of build on each other in a way. So just know that up front. October 6th, I've got When a Stranger Calls on the list. It's a 1979 film. It's a psychological horror. And it's something that you may hear referenced or maybe sort of called back to, or may just be an inspiration for other films that you see. Okay, and then on October 7th, we've got Poltergeist from 1982, supernatural film. I kicked around Poltergeist 2 because there's a character in that film that scared the crud out of me when I was a little kid, just looking at him. But I think Poltergeist, the first one, is where you need to start with that one. Okay, October 8th, we've got Orphan. 2009 film. Got your basic creepy kid. Got your basic psychological horror film. So interesting, so good. Vera Farmiga. I was so glad to be able to include a movie with Vera Farmiga in it. So I hope you enjoy that one. October 9th, Black Christmas. Not a Chris, well, it's Christmas time, but it's a horror film. So 1974 slasher film. And that is as much as I want to say about that. Because there are some other subgenres you could include here, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want to share too much about it. October 10th, we've got our next one that's on the safe for the people who don't want too scary films. It's Triangle. This is a film from 2009. It's more of a thriller. It's a mystery. I hate to classify it any more than that because honestly, just about any way you describe this film gives you spoilers. So I almost even hesitate to ask you to look up a synopsis of this film. It's really good. I've never heard anybody talk about it before, and I want to make sure people know about this film. So I'm including it on a horror film list, even if it doesn't belong there. It's a good one if you're looking for, stuff that's more in the thriller category. October 11th is our first double feature. It's a found footage supernatural double feature. I'm pairing paranormal activity, the first one, with the movie Host. Paranormal Activity is from 2007 and it has its own franchise. So if you find that you like Paranormal Activity, there's plenty more where that came from. But then I'm pairing that with the movie Host. That's less than an hour long. So actually this double feature it's about as long as like watching The Shining. So consider that pairing if you've got a little bit of time. Host is a 2020 film. It's, I guess you would call it found footage. It's like more of like a Zoom horror, which I just made that up, but that's basically how you would describe something like this. And if you think about the year that was produced, it was very much a pandemic film, and it was very smart the way they did it. October 12th, The Amityville Horror. We're going to go with the one from 1979, the original. This one it's a haunted house film. It's your basic haunted house film. There is a remake of this from much late, from the 2000s. I believe Ryan Reynolds starred in it. You could make this a double feature if you wanted to compare those two films against each other. October 13th, I've got Funny Games. The 2007 version. This is, I'm going to classify this as psychological / stalker. There's other ways you could classify this too. This is unrelenting, this film. There is a film by the same name from the same director from, I believe it was 1997. It's an Austrian film done in German. This is a shot-for-shot remake as an American version. It makes me so mad. It doesn't scare me, but it makes me so angry in a way that makes me know I feel something. So, hey, there's that. October 14th, I've got the movie The Monster from 2016. It's a monster film. I would almost put this as an elevated horror as well. This is another Brian Bertino film, really atmospheric, such a good film. October 15th, Stitches. It's your basic 2012 creepy clown movie. It's a slasher comedy because we're going to call it that. And why not? If you like creepy clowns, this is the movie for you, but it's not the only movie for you. I've got another creepy clown movie coming up later that I'm very excited about. October 16th, there's a movie called The Collector. This is a 2009 film. I'm going to put it in the torture category. I'm going to put it in the home invasion category. Any of the torture films that I have on here are not, to me, as hardcore as something like a Saw or a Hostel. Actually, if I'm being really honest, to me, the hardest things to watch in the torture category are actually medical dramas. For me, it's so real, I can't. But with horror films, there's usually some amount of knowing it's a film and it's not real. The Collector is, of the torture films that I've got on here, it's sort of the at the upper level of it, but underneath something like a Saw or a Hostel, I think. Very, very clever film. Really, really interesting. October 17th, I've got a movie called Alice, Sweet Alice for you. This one is the next one on the list of things that are pretty safe for people who are not, they don't want to be too scared, partly because it's a 1979 film. It is a slasher film. Um, it's a religious horror, be aware of that. Yeah, so there's some things about it that could give people pause. It's so smart, and I do have the feeling that this film inspired a lot of future films in some way, shape, or form. There's a lot of things that have a throwback. In fact, Host, earlier on this list, has a moment where it references Alice, Sweet Alice. I'm sure it's not the only film on this list that does that in some way. So once again, if you are somebody who's in this for the modified version where you just want to check out some films that aren't too scary, even for you, I've tried to create like a balance of the types of films you're going to get. And this one, it's almost like an educational one for you that you can go back and see an early slasher film and see how things might have gotten started with all of this. October 18th, there's a film called The Boy, which I have yet to hear anybody actually talk about, but it's kind of interesting, actually. It's a 2016 film. I'm going to put this in the category of creepy doll / psychological. There's actually a sequel to this, Brahms The Boy 2. Very, very different film. It's more of like an anthology sort of a situation, but it could be a double feature that you choose. October 19th, Velvet Buzzsaw. So good. This one, okay. I ran out of room to give this subgenre labels. There's a million ways you could describe this film. It's from 2019. We're going to call it, let's say, art horror, dark art house. I've heard all of those terms used for it. Supernatural, comedy, slasher. Basically, I've described this film to somebody once before, and I was quite proud of the way that I described it. I describe it as art kills people in the style of the art. Do with that what you will. It's got an awesome cast. We've got Jake Gyllenhaal, we've got Toni Collette, we've got Rene Russo, so many great people. Also, it's a satire. Also, this is directed and written by Dan Gilroy, who also did Nightcrawler, which I love. So, such a good one. Okay, October 20th, Downrange. It's a 2017 sniper slasher. I don't know if I want to say anything else about it because I'd rather just explain why I've included this film in my video when I explain the film as a whole and review it. October 21st, Malignant. This is a 2021 film, supernatural slasher, and it's got a real Giallo vibe. If you are looking to educate yourself on Giallo as a subgenre, maybe pair this one with something like Deep Red. That's an option. October 22nd, The Dark and the Wicked. This is a 2020 supernatural film. This is a third one from Brian Bertino. And it gave me my most recent jump scare, actually. I wasn't expecting that one bit in a film like this. October 23rd, I've got In Fear. This is a 2013 film, psychological stalker film. I actually was sort of debating between Funny Games and In Fear in terms of how they make me feel, and I decided to include both of those films because I think they both have a reason to be on this list. So there you have it. If you're looking to pair this with something, this is, I believe, a film set in Ireland. So maybe look for something based in the UK. October 24th, I've got my next film for those who don't want something too scary. This is, I don't think anybody would classify this as a horror, but it's certainly atmospheric. It's called The Crow. This is a 1994 film. Action fantasy might be the better way to describe this. If anything, I think the horror of this film was in the making of it, because there was a real life accident on set and it was fatal. So I wanted to include this. It's got such great atmosphere. I lived in Seattle for a long time. It has sort of that moody Seattle vibe. It's not the only film on this list that has that. Malignant has that as well. So those are, several days apart from each other on this list. So it'll give you a chance to tap into that energy. October 25th, A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. So this is a 1984 film, a slasher film. It's got your basic Freddy Krueger. It's so good. Look, this is, of the slasher franchises, I dipped into Scream, I dipped into A Nightmare on Elm Street. Those are my two favorites. Nightmare on Elm Street, the franchise, for me is probably the second most consistent in terms of quality. And part of that is because of Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. If you want to pair this with something, look, there's an entire franchise to pull from here. Just maybe stick to something that has Robert Englund in it. Please don't pick Freddy versus Jason if you're looking further, if you've only seen one film and it's a Nightmare on Elm Street, and then you look to do a second film for a double feature, don't let it be Freddy versus Jason. Stay within the genre. And I believe the very last film, the remake film, was 2010, maybe. It was a total remake, didn't have Robert Englund in it. Look, it might have been great. I don't know. I don't even know if I saw it. But if you're getting started in this franchise, stick to the films with Robert Englund, which is almost all of them. Okay, October 26th, The Exorcist, 1973 supernatural film. Lots to talk about, lots to think about, often referenced, pop culturally very important. And it's something that, people have been continuing to make new films about them. I believe we're going to see TV from a TV show or a film from Mike Flanagan coming up soon that dips into that world as well. So you got to put that on this list, right? October 27th, I'm putting a film called Christie. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody talk about the film Christie except for me, and I love it. This is definitely in the survival subgenre. It's a 2014 film, and I'm excited for people to learn about it if they've never heard it. I'm also, hopefully, I'm going to find some people who found it so I can talk with them about this film through the YouTube comments. Okay, October 28th, Train to Busan. It's a 2016 film, the only zombie film on this list. It's a zombie action, and get your tissues ready, okay? That's all I can say. It's so good. October 29th, The Shining, another film that really just needs to be on this list. I mean, if you're talking about films people should see as horror films, The Shining is certainly one of them. Whether you like it or not, it's discussed a lot. It's referenced a lot. It's a 1980 psychological horror film. Look, there's a lot of ways you could classify this as well. So October 30th, Terrifier. This is a 2016 film. It's another creepy clown film. This is torture. It's low budget gore, okay? It's gory, but it's definitively not real. This movie puts a lot of people off because of the gore, but if you it's in a tricky space because it's definitely not real gore. So if you're comparing, if you love like a Saw franchise or Hostel, it's not that. But it's makes fun of itself all the time. And so I don't know, it's kind of an interesting one that doesn't fit into a perfect box, but people love this character so much that I think we're coming up on Terrifier 3 that's going to be released this October. So get ready for that. October 31st. It's our last double feature. I'm pairing two. The first one is one that's, I think, relatively safe for people who don't want something too scary. It's called Ready or Not. It's a 2019 horror comedy. And there are probably a bunch of people in that movie that you might recognize. And then I'm pairing that with my favorite horror film, Hush. It is a home invasion film. It's a Mike Flanagan film, and it is so very good. These are usually the last two films I would watch in an October anyway, so I'm pairing them up to do a double feature on Halloween. So those are the films that are on this list. I hope that you find some in there that you want to watch. I hope if you watch all 31 days, all 33 films with me, awesome. If you want to do a modified version of this, if you want to craft your own double features, that could be a fun way to do this as well. It just gives us all something to participate in this year or even in future years. So that'll be fun as well. One last thing. So here's how I would love for you to participate. In addition to watching the films and commenting on YouTube and letting me know what you thought, I need your help because, as I mentioned, I've watched so many horror films and scary films that I have become somewhat desensitized to them. I'm relatively cautious about personal safety in many different ways in my real life, partially because I've watched horror movies and I know what not to do. Like, don't be silly. But when I'm watching horror films, that also means my scary meter's kind of busted and I don't really know how to recommend them to people. If somebody says that they're not sure if they can do something really scary, I never really know exactly how scary a film actually is. And I know that's subjective based on how you feel about subgenres as well. So here's what I would love for you to do. If you watch any of these films, if you watch any of the reviews, if you say absolutely nothing else in your comments on YouTube, what I would love is for you to help me rate the film in terms of how scary it is from a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being didn't scare me at all. 10 being scariest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. Anywhere in between. Help me reset my scary meter for these films, not so much to scare me, but to help me and anybody who wants to make recommendations to people get a better sense of where these things fall on an average viewpoint of the audience. I'm sure a lot of people will benefit from that down the road for having like a more accurate assessment of how scary something is. It's not necessarily saying how good the movie is, because there's a lot of ways to define how good a horror movie is, but this is a way to sort of get a better sense of how scary the film is. So help me with my busted scary meter and rate the film on how scary it is in the YouTube comments. And that's what you can look forward to. So this is the list. Get ready, get set, and start looking for these films. Start thinking about when and how and where you're going to watch and with whom. And then go and watch these films, and every single day I'll have a movie recap or review, not deep dive, but my thoughts come out in a YouTube video earlier that day so that you can enjoy that after you watch the film. I hope that you enjoy this journey with me. I'm so excited to open up a Take the Doughnut challenge to more people than just me, and to have whoever wants to participate in it. And this time we're going to do EEKtober. So I hope you enjoy 31 days of scary movies. See you later.